Hello everyone, this is Brandon, and today we're going to be looking at 40 kanji instead of the regular 30. We're going to be going from kanji 121 to 160 in our Anki lineup, so if you've been studying along with that, then these are going to be the next 40 today. So we're going to start with the kanji for morning, dynasty, regime, or period, and it also is the kanji for North Korea. This one has the radical for moon, early, and 10. So 10 hours early, the moon is going to still be in the sky, and that's the morning. So during twilight, the moon is still up there. That's the mnemonic that we like to use for that one, or that I like to use. The kunyomi for it is going to be, I believe this is asa. We're going to check to make sure. It is. And the onyomi for it is going to be cho. Here's the stroke order right down here. We don't usually go over that. I usually go over that in Anki. And that's going to be that one. The next one we're going to look at is daytime, or noon. Its kunyomi is going to be hiru, and its onyomi is going to be, I think this is chu. That's what it is, chu. It's going to have the parts for day and one. And I guess this is corpse or remains. For the way I like to think about this one, the way I remember it is that when the sun is in the middle, it's noon. So the middle of the sky. Although none of these things mean sky, but I like to think of that as like the ground, and then the sun is in the middle. The next one is going to be night. This one is yo, or I believe this is ya. So yo or ya for onyomi, yo for, or yoru for another kunyomi. It's going to have the radicals for evening or sunset, and it's gonna have the hat radical and then the person radical here. I like to look at this as the passing into evening is night. So when the people put their hats on in the evening, that's when it's gonna be the nighttime, and that's a little weird story. Next one we're going to look at is part or minute of time. For this one, I just kind of remember it. It's got this sword or saber here. You could look at it maybe as like pieces of the saber. It's got 8. Come on. That looks like 8, yeah. It's not quite 8, so it's got saber there. Its kunyomi is going to be wakeru, and its onyomi is going to be, I believe this is den? Bun. Jeez, bun. There we go. Next one we're going to look at is week. This one only has an onyomi, which is going to be, I think this is shu. It is shu. For this one, it's got quite a few parts here. It's going to have the walking. This is the walking radical. It's going to have enclosure. It's going to have mouth. And it's going to have ground. So I don't really have a super big story. I just kind of remember this one. But you could think something about mouth and ground and walking. And somehow that makes it weak. The next one is going to be springtime. And this is going to have this squiggly stuff up here, which I like to think maybe the cherry blossom trees during the day. That'll make it spring. It's got a lot of different parts here. Obviously the part for day, and then just a bunch of radicals in there. Its kunyomi is going to be haru. And its onyomi is going to be, I think this is shin. But yeah, shin. Next one we're going to look at is summer. This is going to have the parts for maybe like neck, and this is again the evening or late radical. So maybe late in the year, late after spring becomes summer. The time where your eyes are the most subjected to it. Yeah, there's a few different ways you can interpret that one. The seasons, to be honest, they're kind of I can't really think of a story for them. So for me, I just kind of remember those ones. Except for autumn, actually. Autumn's one of the ones that I find really easy to remember, because the story, it's got the radical for fire, and then the radical for two-branched tree. This kind of looks like a tree, but it's got another one on top. So when the trees turn the color of fire, that is autumn. That's how I remember that one. It's going to have Toki and Aki for kunyomi, and Aki means autumn or fall, and its onyomi is going to be shu, again. This one's going to be winter. I like to think of this as wind, and that's actually ice, so I guess the radical for that is ice, the two-pronged thing, but I like to think of it as wind, but you could think of it, yeah, as ice, and then when there's ice in the, that's strike, but it also kind of looks like the evening one too, so when you strike the ice, it's winter, something like that. This one is going to have, this is now, so like immediately, like currently. This is used a lot in like time, like if you're asking for what time it is right now, you would use this one. It's going to have the counter for articles, individual, that's one of the parts there. It's also going to have the parts for man up at the top here, and one. Yeah, this is another one I just kind of remember. It kind of looks properly. Its kunyomi is going to be ima, and its onyomi is going to be kon. The next one we're going to look at is nu. This again has the two-pronged tree standing up, and this is the axe radical. So for this one, I like to think you always need a new axe to cut the tallest standing trees. That's how I like to think of it. You want to grab your new axe and cut down those standing trees. Its kunyomi here is going to be atarashi. Atarashi? Is that what it is? Let me look that up just to make sure. Atarashi. There we go. Got that one right. And shin is going to be its onyomi. So atarashi means new, novel, fresh, recent, latest, up to date. And shin means new or neo. Like the, yeah. Shin Dynasty. This is going to be old. I like to think of this as just early flipped upside down. So other than it doesn't have a line through the mouth radical there. But that's how I like to remember this one. I just remember that very easily. But another thing is that if you have 10 mouths to feed, you're going to become old really fast. Its onyomi is going to be ko, and its kunyomi is going to be furui. Furui. Furui means old, aged, ancient, antiquated. Next one we're going to look at is interval or space. This one I find very easy because it's literally just a stargate. So we haven't seen this yet, but this right here, the two kind of like days on these sticks, that represents gate, and then the middle one is day. So the sun is a star, and it's in a gate, so stargate, so space. That's how I like to remember that one. Its onyomi is going to be kan, and its kunyomi is going to be aida. Aida. Aida means space, between something, gap, interval, distance. Next one we're going to look at is direction. For this one, people have that you always keep your direction under your hat or something. There's this weird story. I just remember this one. It kind of looks like the 10,000 one, so maybe something like that. Its kunyomi is going to be kata, and its onyomi is going to be, I believe this is ho. Yeah, ho. Ho means direction, way, side, area, and kata means direction. Next one we're going to look at is north. You could think of this like maybe the needles on the compass. It uses the spoon and the left side kata radical. This is one of the ones I just remember. For a lot of the directions, I also just remember them. The kunyomi is going to be kita, and the onyomi is going to be hoku. So if you were to say Hokuju, that'd be going north, and kita is north. This one's going to be south. So for this one, I just actually look at it. it's got a lot of different radicals in here, but this one inside the enclosure radical is actually the radical for dryness. So I think that it's always dry in the south, so the enclosure of the dryness is the south. That's kind of a weird way to remember it, but that's how I remember it. It's going to have minami is going to be its kunyomi, and its onyomi, pardon me, I'm not super familiar with that katakana, is nan. Nan. The next one we're going to look at is east. This is going to have igashi and teu. Is this teu? To. My bad. I thought that was te, but it's actually to. I was just mixing up my katakana there. So the kunyomi is going to be higashi, and the onyomi is going to be to. The way you can look at this one, it's got the radical for tree and day. So you could think of the sun rises in the east, potentially. So when the sun rises above the tree line, it's going to be in the east because it sets in the west. Next one we're going to look at is west or Spain. The mnemonic for this one that I actually don't use a mnemonic, but the one that seems to be common is that it looks like a whiskey bottle, and an empty whiskey bottle is like the Wild West. The empty whiskey bottle is the Wild West. Its kunyomi is going to be nishi, and its onyomi is going to be sei. So sei means Spain, and nishi means west, and nishi bi is the western sun, or westering sun, the setting sun. This is the symbol for distant or far. It's got quite a few parts. It's got mouth, it's got ten, it's got walk, which is the kind of thing on the bottom. And this is one of the ones I remember, but if you think that it would take you a long time to walk the ground to reach the thing, then you can think of it as distant or far. It's going to have the kunyomi for toi and the onyomi for n. This is n. It is n. Just wanted to guarantee that for you guys. And toi. So toi means distant, far, far away. This one is going to be near. So I think of this as you always want to keep your axe within walking distance, so near. You always want to keep your axe by you, I guess, to defend yourself. The kunyomi for this one is going to be chikai, and the onyomi is going to be kin. So chikai means near, close, short distance, soon. The next kanji we're going to look at is the kanji for in front or before. This one's used a lot with time to say like AM. It's going to have the radicals for saber and moon. I guess I just think kind of like the moon saber is the saber before. Something weird like that. The kunyomi for it is going to be mae, and the onyomi is going to be zen. So zen is the last, and moe is going to be the ago or before. So it's like the past. That's what it is. Next thing we're going to look at is behind, back, later. So this is in front. So like after in time. This is used a lot for PM as well. It's going to have the radicals for stop, delay, and thread. So if you think stop and delay, you can kind of think like after or later. Like if something is delayed, it's going to come later. Next thing we're going to look at is inside, and this is enclosure and person, I believe. Yeah. So if you've got, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the other direction. I wanted to see the stroke order. So yeah, if you've got this one, when a person is inside an enclosure, they're inside the building. Uchi is going to be the kunyomi, and the onyomi is going to be, I believe this is NA. Yeah, night. Night is going to be the onyomi. Next one we're going to look at is outside. So if you think of this, it's like a divining pole, and the magicians that use the divining pole use it outside in the evening. So it's got evening and the divining pole. So when you divine in the evening, you do it outside. Next one we're going to look at is location, and this has the parts for pig and ground. So where you put your pigs, that's a location or a place. If you bury your pig, I guess you could say too, but I don't necessarily think you got to think of it like burying them. The kunyomi for it is going to be ba, and the onyomi is going to be shu or sho. I think it's sho. Joe. My bad. I forgot. I didn't see the two little things there. Yeah, Joe. We're gonna go with Joe. So ba is place, spot, and Joe is also a place. The next thing is going to be ground. So this symbol on the right here is the radical for to be, and on the left you've got earth. So to be earth is to be ground, and this one does not have a kunyomi. It only has an onyomi, and that is te. T-E, te. Next one we're going to look at is country. So if you look, it's got the radical or the kanji for jewel, and then inside of an enclosure. So the country is the jewel inside of the enclosure. If you think of your country as a jewel or as a you know, an amazing object or something inside of an enclosure, that's your country. The kunyomi is going to be kuni, and the onyomi is going to be koku. So kuni means country or state. Next thing we're going to look at is park. This one has a lot. It has ground. It has the mouth one, and it has the enclosure. So I guess maybe the place where you do a picnic, where you stuff your mouth on the ground, that's going to be a park. You have picnics in the park. Next one we're going to look at is valley, and this one has a few different radicals in it. It has mouth, it has this counting radical here, and it has the two slashes. This one I kind of just remembered it's valley. Maybe you can think of it as like a house, and these two things are the valley, so the house is inside the valley. Its kunyomi is going to be tani, and its onyomi is going to be koku. Next thing we're going to look at is plains. So the symbol on the left here is going to be for your parents' house. So I think this is like the ancestral home in the plains, so where your parents were farming or whatever. Oh, I forgot to mention, the kunyomi is going to be no for that one, and the onyomi is going to be ya. So no is a plain. The meadow here is going to have a few different parts. It's going to have white, it's going to have a little and enclosure. So the white little enclosure is the meadow. Like if you think of like light shooting in on a meadow, and a little like enclosure. I believe this is cliff, not enclosure. Enclosure would go around the other side. So maybe at the bottom of the cliff. The bottom of a cliff, there's a little white area, and that's going to be the meadow. Next one, we saw this one in the previous one, and this is going to be your parents' home. If you think of the rice paddy on the ground, so the ground where the rice paddies are is your parents' home. The kunyomi for this one is going to be sato. I believe that's a sign. Yeah, sato, and I think this is ri. Yeah, ri and sato. So sato is a village. Next one we're going to look at is market. If you remember older sister, that uses this one. So it's going to have the lid and the, I think this is market, towel. I just remember the older sister going to the market one, and somehow remembering this helps me remember that, remembering that helps me remember this. So I kind of use both of those symbols to create a mnemonic between both of them. The kunyomi is going to be ichi, and the onyomi, I believe this is shi, but it could be the other one. Yeah, shi. This is going to represent capital. This has little mouth and lid, so I guess the little place where all the mouths are covered or something. This one I just kind of remember it. It's one of the ones I remember. I don't really have a mnemonic for it. The kunyomi for it is going to be Miyako, and Miyako is the capital or the metropolis. And the onyomi is going to be, I think this is Q, but Kyo, my bad, Kyo. I gotta remember the katakana. Next thing we're going to look at is wind. This is enclosure, and then it's got bug and slide up there. I just like to think that that bugs fly and use the wind to carry themselves through the enclosures of their space. The kunyomi for this one is going to be kaze. So the other thing you could do is remember kamikaze, and the kaze is for wind in that. The onyomi is going to be, let's see if I can remember. I think this is he, but I might be fu. That's, yeah, fu. The next thing we're going to look at is snow. And snow, I like to think of it as the rain on top, and then this is a different radical. But I just kind of like to think like thick rain is snow. It's going to have yuki is going to be its kunyomi, and its onyomi is going to be seshi. Unless I've got that wrong. Oh, setsu. Yeah, setsu, because that's su, not shi, because it's not, it comes up more. I always get those confused. I don't know why it kind of has, like, 4 symbols that almost look the exact same, but whatever. Seshi is going to be vindication of honor, and yuki is going to be snow. Next thing we look at is cloud. This kind of looks like the part for wide, but it's I myself, katakana. So for this one, actually, it's again rain, so I think rain, but then I know that it's not as thick, so it's not the snow, but it's got this thing that's kind of like wide, so I think like fluffy cloud. Its kunyomi is going to be kumo, and its onyomi is going to be un. So kumo means cloud. Next one we're going to look at is pond. If you remember, the symbol on the right here is going to be the symbol for to be, and the 3 little dashes like that is water. So to be water is a pond, just like to be ground is earth. It's going to have a kunyomi of ike and te. So ike is a pond. Next one we're going to look at is sea or ocean. So this symbol on the right here is the radical for every. And again, on the left is water, so every water is the ocean. So the ocean is where like all the water collects in the world. If you look at the kunyomi, it's going to be umi, and the onyomi is going to be kei. So umi is sea, and kei, you could go keigan is coast or beach. Last thing we're going to look at, the last kanji for today, is going to be boulder or rock or cliff. So the one on top is mountain, and the one on the bottom is rock. So a mountain rock is a boulder, like because everything in the mountains is massive. So massive mountain boulder is a rock, or massive mountain rock is a boulder. The kunyomi is going to be iwa. So iwa is going to be a rock or a boulder, and gan is going to also be rock. That's the onyomi for it. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow with the next 30. Today was 40 because I accidentally studied ahead in my Anki, so I just decided to go over 40 today, but we'll go over 30 tomorrow. That's it for today. This is Brandon signing off. Good luck with your studying.